Hello everyone, welcome to Oliveboard. My name is Dinkar and I welcome you all in this session. I hope everybody is doing great, feeling healthy and fine. Once again, welcome to our RBI Grade B concept building series. As you all know that every Saturday we are doing this RBI Grade B concept building series and we are coming up with some of the important lectures on finance, management, and your economic and social issues. So again, we have come up this Saturday again with some of the important topic for the examination. Today's topic is also a very important topic as per your exam point of view. So without wasting much more time, we are again starting off the session right away. So before starting off the session, may I know how many people are there in the session? They can just wave off to me in the chat box. Say hi, hello to me in the chat box so that I may know you are here. Okay, so I'm just waiting for 1 or 2 minutes for the people to join the session. Okay, so I'll be just going ahead with my session. So this is RBI Grade B concept building series for ESI management and finance. And every Saturday we are bringing out this series especially to all of you so that your basic understanding, basic concept shall build from the starting and from the scratch. So that is why we have come up with this series and this is for all of you benefit. You can take the maximum benefit out of it because this is a free of cost series and every Saturday you can sit with me and clear off your concepts. And this series will be covering full RBI syllabus. Okay, this series will be covering full RBI syllabus and but it will be taking every Saturday. Every Saturday only we will be taking this session. So till the exam comes every Saturday we'll be doing these classes, one topic from ESI. Next week we'll take one topic from management, and next week we'll take one first topic from the finance. So this is how will be going towards this series. So we are pledging for your success. These are the live video batches in which you are sitting. We are covering proper comprehensive coverage of the syllabus will be given over here. And yeah, since you are sitting in the olive board and I'll be clearing all of your doubts whatever is there, but you please be specific whenever you are asking doubts, because sometimes your doubts are not specific, so it is difficult to understand that. Then preparation guidance I keep on providing every time from whenever the session started and the session is over, I keep on providing you with the proper guidance throughout the session. And exam center study, since you are in olive board, obviously you will be getting exam centered study. Okay, so today is the fifth lecture on ESI. Okay, so four lectures on ESI are already over. Four lectures on management already over. Four lectures on finance is over. So today is the fifth lecture. In the next week, we'll be having the fifth lecture of management, and the next to next week, we'll be having the fifth lecture on finance. Okay, like this, we are going. So today, the topic is of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy, everybody have various type of confusion regarding the fiscal policy. So what is the fiscal policy, what type of fiscal policies are there, what is the role of fiscal policies in India, so that all we are going to discuss today, right? In between, if you have any question, please let me know. I'll be surely answering to your questions. So let's start. So, what is fiscal policy? Whenever we talk of the word fiscal, okay, we say fiscal federalism, fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is normally dealing with the government policies. What government is coming with policy? What is the government expenditure? What taxation expenditure? Okay, so like fiscal, whenever any place the fiscal word is coming, you just simply think that it is related to government. Okay, government expenditure, government taxations, okay, anything related to the government is creating any kind of policy or any kind of taxation expenditure, that is all related to fiscal policies only. Okay, and monetary policy is all related to your RBI. Okay, monetary policy is related to RBI. So both monetary policy and fiscal policy both work together in order to keep the economy strong, right? In the last class we have discussed about the monetary policy and today we'll be discussing about the fiscal policy. Okay, so mainly whenever we talk of the fiscal policy, it is the government, how government collects the money, how government collection how government collects the money, how government do the expenditure of that money, and how the government influence the various policies. Okay, how the government is utilizing the tax money, in which all sector government utilizing this tax money. Now after that, sometimes government have surplus money, sometimes government don't have, so government has deficit, right? So that means surplus means what? Whenever government is expenditures are less than government income. Okay, and deficit means when government expenditures are more than the revenues. Okay, so these are all the things which are related to your fiscal policy. Now first of all, we will be studying what are the types of fiscal policy, government कैसे कैसे measures लेती है, fiscal policy के कितने types हैं. अब जैसे फर्स्ट टाइप इज न्यूट्रल फिस्कल पॉलिसी. न्यूट्रल मीन्स डूइंग नथिंग. Okay, that means doing nothing, like I am getting 100 rupees, government is getting 100 rupees as tax. Okay, this is government, and government is spending rupees 100. Okay, right? So whatever government is getting, government is spending, that is neutral. Government spending is equal to government taxation. Taxation is equal to government spending. Right, that is a neutral, right? So government spending is fully funded by the tax revenue. Government don't have to borrow from somewhere. Okay, government don't borrow. Whatever the money that is coming to the government, that only money has been utilized. Okay, that is called neutral fiscal policy. Then comes contractionary fiscal policy. Contractionary means we are doing contraction, किसी चीज को दबाना, contraction. Restrictive, doing restrictive means you have money but you are not spending. Okay, that means government is cutting on their expenditure, government is not spending too much. Tax are high, tax money is good, but expenditure is less. Okay, so government will be having surplus money here, but it will lead to constructionary fiscal policy. So why government do this thing, why the government follow the contractionary fiscal policy is that whenever there is inflation in the economy, whenever there is an inflation in the economy, government utilize the measure of contractionary fiscal policy by increasing the taxation, by reducing the expenditure. Okay, in order to ease down the inflation in the economy. Okay, so that is the second one. Then what is the third one? Third one is expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary, as the word suggests, expand, invest, wherever you can invest. Okay, so whenever government is following expansionary fiscal policy, that means government wanted to stimulate the economy. इकोनॉमी को बढ़ावा दो, आगे बढ़ेगी इकोनॉमी, पैसे खर्च करो, एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ेगा, more and more money will be there in the economy, more and more employment will be created, work will be done, products, goods and services will be there, right? So whenever there is recession, अभी देखिए in 2020 country came to halt. Why? Because of the COVID-19 crisis, right? After that, government came up with Atmanirbhar Bharat package. Okay, Atmanirbhar Bharat package of 20 lakh crore, 20 lakh crore का package government has come up with. That is what government wanted to follow expansionary fiscal policy. Why? In order to stimulate the economy. Government wanted to infuse the money so that factory can start running, employment should be generated, and economy can come on the track. Okay, so what government is doing over here? Government is cutting the taxes, government is increasing the government spendings. Okay, then whenever there is a cutting in the tax and government spendings are more, automatically it leads to the lower unemployment rate, because more and more people will be getting job. Okay, but this is not that much sustainable, because you have to keep a balance. That should be neither too expansionary, neither too contractionary. It has to be remain at a stable level, right? So here expansionary means government spending high, taxes low. Contractionary means government spending low, but you are keeping taxes high. Okay, so here more money, less expenditure. in contractionary. But in expansionary, you maybe you don't have money, you borrow the money and do the expenditure, okay, in order to stimulate the economy. But that is not a good way of stimulating any kind of economy. But if you are following a sustainable way of borrowing, whenever you are following a sustainable way, whenever you are following sustainable way of borrowing, then you can stimulate your economy properly. Okay, so fiscal policy, the main aim is that they if any economy is dampening, so in order to revive the economy, that is the important role of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is made in order to improve the equality, accessibility, affordability to the people. Various sectors are there: healthcare, pharmaceutical, education, construction, everywhere they work, right? The main task of fiscal policy is to boosting of the unemployment rate. It reaches the higher purchasing power and overall demand increase. Overall demand increase. Okay, more demand increases, more expansion will happen, more expand, more employment will be generated. Okay, now components of spending. Whenever the government get money in the form of taxes, okay, taxes or borrowing or whatever it is, where normally the government do the expenditure. So these are the places where government do the expenditure. So first of all, the expenditure goes towards the maintenance. Okay, we have a lot of people who are government jobs employee, central government, state government employees. Okay, so staff salaries and keeping the offices proper, so maintenance is required. Then loan payment. This is the highest. This is the highest that takes government money. This year in 2023 and 24, it is expected that India has to repay their loan, and interest payment on that loan is 11 around 10 lakh 71,000 crore. 10 lakh 71,000 crore is the interest payment government has to give. Then government is doing expenditure on the subsidies, welfare scheme, hundreds of welfare schemes are there, right? And sometimes government do some wasteful expenses also, like they are giving, like in order to promote their government, they are giving full page government advertisement, newspaper. Then in order to generate any kind of favorable public opinion for that, right now, next year 2024 elections are coming, so you will be seeing the newspaper will be full of government advertisement, full of government advertisement. So there also the wasteful expenses happen, right? Now, from where government earns the money, what is the component of earning? So the component is earning is tax, direct, indirect taxes. Then government borrow also as a form of a loan. Okay, they take the loan from the international banks, from the RBI or external commercial borrowing. Okay, so loan they take. Then if they are selling any of the PSUs, if they are like a disinvestment they are doing, okay, so that also they are getting the money out of it. Then profit from the PSU, like government is having a good amount of share in the PSUs. So whatever the profit that PSU earns, this part of the profit is shared by the government. Okay, now comes union budget. What is our union budget? Actually, the word union budget is not mentioned, in constitution. ये constitution में mention ही नहीं है ये वाला word. This has not been mentioned in the constitution. The word that is mentioned in the constitution is AFS. What is that? Annual Financial Statement. ये mention है. Okay. Popularly we call it as budget, but actually it is annual financial statement. So every year government has to put the estimated expenditure for the next year. So this year they have given the budget for 2023-2024. That means from 1st April 23 to 31st March 24. Okay, so that budget they have given, and the budget of this year they are planning to do the expenditure of 45.03 lakh crore. Okay, this is the expenditure they wanted to do in this budget. right? So as per article 112, okay, every year government has to present annual financial statement in the parliament, okay, that is called as budget, right? So in this budget or annual financial statement, government has to say from where they are going to get the receipt and where they are going to do the expenditure. Okay, so since they are going to estimate for the next year, okay, because the next financial year is not started, it will start from 2023 April. So they are going to do the estimation, so that is called as estimated receipt and estimated expenditures. Okay, so along with this budget document, government also proposes various type of programs, various type of schemes, like for the welfare of the people, right? Where they are going to the expenditure they are going to do, where they will be reducing the expenditure. This year, if you see, they have done huge decrease in the Manrega budget. They have increased the budget for railways and infrastructure and roadways. Okay, so government has to propose this. So, who prepares the budget and how the budget is prepared? So, the budget division of the Department of Economic Affairs prepares the budget. That is, the responsibility is with budget division of the Department of Economic Affairs. So, people think that this is only 1 or 2 months work. No, it is not a 1 or 2 months work. It is a one. The process starts from the September every year, September or October every year. How? Because first of all, the circular will be sent. एक सर्कुलर भेजा जाएगा सारे मिनिस्ट्रीज एंड डिपार्टमेंट्स को ड्यूरिंग अक्टूबर नवंबर फेज. Okay, not October November, September October. Okay, circular will be issued to the all ministries and they will be asked like, what is your estimate for the next year? Okay, what is the estimate for the next year? Then scrutiny will be done. Then scrutiny will be done. 1 minute. Then scrutiny will be done, like what is your expenditure and what is your revenues. Then again consultation will be happening, extensive consultation will be happening between the ministries, between ministry and departments, between central ministries and the departments. Okay, extensive consultation will happen. Okay, then estimation will be sent to the finance ministry. Okay, finance ministry received the after receiving the date goes through the recommendation and allocation of revenue. So after that, finance ministry will see like what is the estimate they are asking. Then they will start with the pre-budget meeting. Pre-budget meeting will start. Finance minister will hold pre-budget meeting with various stakeholders, various ministers, like what is the proposal, what is their demand, right? Then after that, final call will be taken. Okay, finance minister will be taking the final call on the demands by the ministries. Okay, and then they will discuss this budget with the PM before finalization. Okay, so after that everything is done, then the finance minister will discuss the budget with the prime minister before the finalization. Okay, so in the budget we share three documents: annual financial statement, that we call it as budget, then financial bill, and appropriation bill. Okay, so these three things we proposes over there, right? We know that our fiscal year start from 1st April to 31st March. So for the next fiscal year starting from 1st April 2023, say 31st April 2024. Right now, what fiscal year is going on? Right now, 2022 to 2023 fiscal year is going on. Okay, so this fiscal year will be going to over on 31st of March. Okay, then this fiscal year will start. So government provided three documents in the session: annual financial statement, finance bill, and appropriation bill. Okay, annual financial statement in which government proposes the thing like from here we are going to do this much of expenditure and that type of expenditure. Then finance bill, and the finance bill we will be discussing after now. So what is the appropriation bill? First, appropriation bill, you can see here the appropriation bill. What is the role of appropriation bill? Appropriation bill is a money bill. This money bill can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. On the Lok Sabha में इसको introduce करा जा सकता है. The main purpose of appropriation bill is that to withdraw the fund from the consolidated fund of India. If government has to do any kind of expenditure, they have to take out the money from the consolidated fund of India, but approval of parliament is necessary. Approval of parliament is necessary, right? So as per the article 114, government can withdraw the money from the consolidated fund of India only once they get approval from the parliament. Okay, so that is regarding the appropriation bill. Now the second is finance bill. Finance bill tells about from where government is going to fund their expenditure. Okay, मतलब पैसा कहां से आएगा, right? So build provision of financing the expenditure. अब वो बताएंगे from tax, non tax, कहां कहां से ये आएगा, right? So appropriation bill tells how much money is required, and finance bill tells from where the money will be coming, right? Then there is also one account that is called vote and account. Vote on account. Vote and account is something in which it is a very special provision of our Indian constitution. Okay, so it is a special grant that has been given to the government to take out some part of money, from the consolidated fund of India until the budget is passed. जब तक बजट पास नहीं हो रहा है तब तक आप कुछ मनी वहां से निकाल लो, so that day to day functioning can happen. Because once the next financial year start, government will not have money until and unless the budget has been passed. So there is a special provision that has been kept that is called vote on account. कि budget, until the budget is passed, you take out some money for normal expenditure, and by the time budget will be also passed before the next financial year start. Okay, then comes the concept of interim budget. So this year is the last full budget. 2023 2024 is the last full budget of government, because on 2024 government will be going for elections. Okay, so next year the budget of 2024 and 2025, they will be producing it as an interim budget. They will be producing is as an interim budget, because this is a special provision just before the election, because next year the election will be there. So next year budget will be called as interim budget. Okay, that budget will be of 2024 and 2025, right? So once the elections are over, and whichever party wins the election, they will come and they will make then the final budget. They will again make the final budget. That is the concept of interim budget. Okay, so now what are the parts of government budget? Parts of government budget. So government budget has two parts: revenue budget, capital budget. Revenue means from where the money will be coming and where the revenue expenditure will be done. Then capital budget means from where the capital receipt will be coming and from where the capital expenditure will be done. Revenue budget is further divided into revenue receipts and revenue expenditure. Revenue comes from taxes or non-taxes. Taxes are two types, that is called direct and indirect. So this is the flow chart that you have to remember. Okay, so that is a flow chart that you have to remember. Just 1 minute, please. Yeah. Then, so revenue budget include revenue expenditure and receipts. ठीक है, revenue receipts कहाँ से आएंगी, right? So revenue receipts come from two places: tax and non-tax. टैक्स में क्या आ जाता है आपका? इनकम टैक्स आ जाता है, जीएसटी आ जाता है, राइट, ये सब आपके टैक्सेस हैं, राइट. सो रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर, समटाइम्स रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर इज मोर देन रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट, so we move into the deficit situation. And revenue expenditure does not create any asset nor does reduce any not reduces any liability. That means whatever government is getting revenue, that is government money only. Government has not borrowed. अब जैसे ही आप सैलरी आपको मिलता है, सैलरी आपका होता है, आपको किसी को देना नहीं है, ऐसे ही रेवेन्यू जो होता है वो गवर्नमेंट का होता है, और गवर्नमेंट इस पे ना ही कोई इंटरेस्ट किसी को देता है, ना इधर इसमें कुछ वो उसको कोई लोन होता है, ठीक है. देन रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट आर टू टाइप्स, टैक्स रेवेन्यू एंड नॉन टैक्स रेवेन्यू. डायरेक्ट टैक्स रेवेन्यू में भी डायरेक्ट होता है और इनडायरेक्ट होता है. डायरेक्ट में क्या होता है, आपका इनकम टैक्स हो गया, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स हो गया, ये सब हो गया, राइट. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस में आपका एक्साइज कस्टम हो गया, सेल टैक्स हो गया, जीएसटी हो गया, ये सब हो गया, राइट. अब नॉन टैक्स रेवेन्यू में क्या है, जिसमें टैक्स नहीं है. अब इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट्स है, गवर्नमेंट ने समवेयर गवर्नमेंट हैज डन इन्वेस्टमेंट एट सम प्लेसेस, okay, so government is getting some kind of dividend on that, government is getting some kind of profit in that, गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन लोन टू समबडी. अब जैसे कुछ दूसरे कंट्रीज को हम लोन दे देते हैं, तो इन दैट वी आर अर्निंग द इंटरेस्ट. सो दीज आर ऑल कॉल्ड नॉन टैक्स रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट्स. इनको सबको नॉन टैक्स रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट्स हम कहते हैं, राइट. देन डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आपका क्या हो गया, इनकम टैक्स, कॉर्पोरेशन टैक्स. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस में आपका क्या आ गया, जीएसटी आ गया, सर्विस टैक्स आ गया, सेल टैक्स आ गया, एक्साइज ड्यूटी आ गया, ये सब आ गया, राइट, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस. देन व्हाट the most important receipt under the non-tax revenue, non-tax revenue में क्या होता है, interest receipt. interest receipt means government को जो interest का पैसा मिलता है वो आपका होता है non-tax revenue. Government has given loan to some company, government has given loan to any country, okay, so government is getting interest on that money, right. Then government is getting money from the railways, profit of the public sector undertakings, right. So these are all the sources of non-tax revenue of the government, राइट. नाउ अब गवर्नमेंट को रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर भी करना है. फ्रॉम वेयर गवर्नमेंट डू दिस रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर. अब सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, गवर्नमेंट हैज टू गिव सैलरीज टू द गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉइज, where the money goes. Then government has to pay interest on the loan government has taken, and yeah, pension government has to give, and any grant, subsidy, education, rural development schemes, whatever government is running, in all these places revenue expenditure is happening, okay. ये रेवेन्यू बजट था. व्हाट वाज, नाउ वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द कैपिटल बजट. कैपिटल बजट. अब कैपिटल बजट क्या होता है, कैपिटल बजट further divided into two, capital receipts and capital expenditure. So if you have taken any loan, capital expenditure means it is always for some kind of investment, some kind of investment, or some kind of any kind of work where investment is allotted, okay. You have taken loan either from RBI or external banks, okay, or if you are setting up any big factory, if you are spending on any big infrastructure, machinery, building, so capital budget is utilized for that, for making some kind of capital investment, okay. So this is a very important phase of the capital budget. So here we are talking about the government total expenditure. Whenever the government total expenditure जब गवर्नमेंट का ज्यादा हो जाता है total revenue से, so we fall into the situation that is called fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit means we don't have that much money, the amount we are doing the expenditure. अब क्या होगा, हम 45 लाख करोड़ हमको इन्वेस्ट करना है, लेकिन हमारे पास आ रहा है केवल 35 लाख करोड़. So there is a deficit of 10 lakh crore. So of this 10 lakh crore deficit को we have to fulfill by either taking loan or either for taking borrowing, okay. And once we take loan and borrowing, we have to pay interest on that, okay, we have to pay interest on that. So this is how the process works. So capital receipt, from where the capital receipts are coming, capital receipts, like capital receipts happen in some way in which it result in your asset reduction, and sometimes it increases some liability. अब how it reduces your asset, because if you are selling your shares, अब अगर आप अपने shares को sell कर रहे हो, so obviously you are reducing your assets, right. If you are selling your fixed asset like some land, some building, you are reducing your assets, right. If you are recovering your loan, if you are recovering your loan from the states or anything, you are reducing your assets, right? Then from where we are creating the liability, how we are creating the liability? If we are taking some kind of external loan, it creates a liability of interest payment. If we are taking market loan, it creates the liability of interest payment. In small saving, ppf, national pension, nps, here we have to pay interest. In all these places we have to pay interest because we are taking loan, it has been generated liability on us. Okay, so that is the capital risk. Now, capital expenditure. Now, where we do this capital expenditure, so whenever we are doing capital expenditure, it creates the assets. It either creates your assets or it reduces your liability. Like, अब जैसे आपने कोई से 500 करोड़ लोन लिया. Right now, if I tell you 500 crore loan you have taken from Asian Development Bank, okay, 500 crore, and you have put that money into building of metro, building of metro train, okay, metro train. So that means you are creating asset with that money that will generate money in the future, right? So this is how you are creating assets, right? You are investing the money you are borrowing, you are creating assets, like you are building hospital, schools, power plants, right? Then you can invest in the shares of psus, okay, you can lend it, okay, capital expenditure you can do, right? All these things are there. Now comes the various type of deficit. Deficit means like maybe you have something more, maybe sometimes you have less. Normally in the country, in our country India, we always have deficit. Deficit means हमारे पास हम खर्च ज्यादा करते हैं, हमारे पास होता कम. Okay, so how? First of all, what is budget deficit? Budget deficit is like whenever we have to total expenditure minus total receipt. Okay, if you have a total expenditure more than total receipt, you are into the budget deficit. But if your total receipts are more than the total expenditure, then you are into the budget surplus. Then revenue deficit, whatever revenue expenditure you are giving and what are your revenue receipts, that is the deficit. Now fiscal deficit में बस इतना ही difference रहता है कि total expenditure minus total receipt except your borrowing. You don't have to count borrowing over here. Total expenditure minus total receipts, right? Then primary deficit, very important. ये question हमेशा आता है, ये MCQ में question हमेशा आता है. What is primary deficit? Primary deficit is when fiscal deficit you remove whenever you remove interest payments from the fiscal deficit. Government को interest payment करना पड़ता है. Whenever government removes the interest payment from the fiscal deficit, that is called primary deficit. Then what is the meaning of effective revenue deficit? It is revenue deficit minus grant of creation of the capital asset. Okay, so revenue deficit जो है वो आपको कैलकुलेट करना है, बट आपको वो चीज रिमूव कर देना है जिससे आपने कैपिटल को एक्वायर किया. Right, then monetized fiscal deficit, it's just a part of fiscal deficit which are covered by the borrowing from the RBI. Okay, so people normally ask like, sir, what is the exact difference between budgetary deficit and fiscal deficit? Budgetary deficit is regarding all receipt either from revenue and capital account minus all expenditure from both that. Fiscal deficit is the total expenditure when exceeds the revenue that it generates, excluding the money you have borrowed. Okay, that is the difference. Now, this fiscal deficit, you have less revenue, more spendings, right? Now comes the important concept that is called deficit financing. अब deficit तो हो गया, we have less money but where expenditures are high. First of all, why we have to do so much of expenditure? If we don't have money, why we should do expenditure? There is a reason, okay, that will be coming in the coming slides. Okay, so what is the purpose of this deficit financing? Whenever we are doing the deficit financing, it is just like we wanted to obtain the resources, we wanted to obtain the plans, we don't have to wait for the money to come, we just have to invest the money from where we are getting, because at this time it is the right time to invest in these places. Okay, so deficit finances sometimes we require like in an event of war or any kind of depression that is happening in our economy. Okay, then what is the advantage of the deficit financing? government borrows from the RBI. Okay, then government pays interest to the RBI. Okay, that is again given back to the government in the form of profit. Okay, so it is a rotating money. Then through deficit financing, government resource can be used much earlier. मतलब अब हमको पता है कि हमारा ये वाला पैसा साल में आएगा, साल के आखिरी में आएगा, लेकिन हमको साल के स्टार्टिंग में उसको यूज करना है, तो वी टेक द मनी. Okay, we should not wait for the money. Okay, so once we start getting the money, we start investing at high pace. Okay, so we get the resources, we start investing, and we generate the output out of it. Okay, but sometimes there are issues that are there. It lead to the inflationary effect. Zyada money जब market में आ जाता है, it lead to inflation, because too much of money supply will lead to the increase in the inflation in the economy, and credit creation by the bank often also reinforce the inflationary pressure. Okay, अब बैंक भी क्रेडिट क्रिएट कर रहा है, डेफिसिट फाइनेंसिंग भी हो रहा है, तो उससे पूरा का पूरा जो इन्फ्लेशन होता है वो बूस्टअप हो जाता है. So that is why we have to make sure that we have to do the deficit financing into a sustainable way. Deficit financing has to happen in a enable way. Okay, so this is how we have to go further. So here if you can see uh, how government do the deficit financing. Deficit financing कैसे करते हैं? Market borrowing, they utilize the money of the small saving, they take external debt, they utilize the money of the state provident fund, and they sometimes draw the cash from the RBI. Okay, then this year if you can see the numbers are saying that for revenue receipt we are estimating that 26 lakh 32,218 crore will be coming. Capital receipt will be getting around 18 lakh 70,000 crore, right? Total receipt will be 45 3 lakh crore. Okay, and total expenditure also will be calculating at this point. Okay, so this is how we are calculating our revenue receipt, capital receipt, total expenditure, and revenue deficit, fiscal deficit. Okay, so all these things are being calculated like this, and this is given in the budget. So you can check the formula and you can utilize. This is important for this year. And this year, the maximum budget has been given to the Ministry of Defense, 5.94 lakh crore. Then Ministry of Road Transport and Highway has got the second largest budget, 2.7 lakh crore. Then Ministry of Railway, 2.41 crore. So these three ministries are there which have got the highest budget this year. So please go through the budget session we have taken, budget session and economic survey session. So please go through budget and economic survey session, and this is a very important series that we are running. Please share this video with your friends, and please like the session, subscribe the channel, please share the session with your friends. And thank you so much for joining the session, guys. Bye bye, take care, and good night to all of you. I'll be meeting you again in the Monday at 9 a.m. in the morning with PIV session. Bye bye, take care, and good night.